Hello, welcome back to a brand new Pick a Side live reaction. We are here after the Warriors beat the Rockets in Game 7, and Tyrese Halliburton took over those Cleveland Fraudaliers and was awesome in Game 1 and took Game 1 and stole home court advantage. We have Riv here, we have Dels here, we have John Tortorelli here. We're waiting on Andrew Velez to show his face. Maybe he pops in the stream. I'm not going to rule it out just yet. We were talking to him throughout the process of this game going on, and then the responses started getting silenter and silenter. But Riv, talk to me, man. You're here. You're the man of the hour. The Warriors won Game 7 as we said they would. How do you feel?
First of all, you're a fraud. You're a joke of a man. You're embarrassing. You're a flip flop. You're not a man. You just I don't know what you are, bro.
My pants tells me I'm all man, Riff.
Yeah, no, you got a big meat. I'm not gonna sit here and disregard that. You
I
got
picked the Warriors in 7.
no. I just heard you say Cleveland frauds, but you
Oh,
want them to
okay.
win
That's
so
fair. That's
bad.
fair.
You picked them to win. You just can't stand on one island. You always got to jump islands. It could be a little crack in the sand. It could be one little shark going to island, and you just got to jump. You jump. You jump. You jump. It's embarrassing. But I'm the man of the hour, and John, I want to be the first to talk to you, man, because I apologize. Your Nuggets did win the series. I saw you called me out. I'm a man of my word. I was wrong. I take that L to the grave. John, you was correct. Your team got the W. Unlike other men here, I can admit when I'm wrong. I won't jump ship. I'm not doing that. So, John, I was wrong.
My brother.
Shout out to your Denver Nuggets for getting that W. Now, as for Golden State, like I said on the last stream, I was never worried. Game 7, you got Steph. Steph didn't even play that well. He was getting open looks, just clanking. But like my brother Dell's always says, when Tatum shoots a bad shooting night, it's not about how much he scores. It's about how he impacts the game. And Steph was impacting the game. He was seeing two. He was making good passes. Wasn't turning over the ball like he usually does.
He was
Defense
guarding.
was there. He was guarded. Not a lot of players to guard on Houston, respectfully, but he was guarded nonetheless. Making good plays, not turning the ball over, not doing the stupid turnovers like he used to do. Just being a vet. Then you had Jimmy. You had Draymond. You had a Buddy Hield game, which you've been waiting for from the role players. Kevon Looney played solid minutes. You just had a good all-around performance from the guys who played. And it's unfortunate, because everybody but Jonathan Kuminga played good. So that's it's really, really unfortunate. But for the most part, Golden State's role players stepped up. The guys who did play, Houston fought. Man, I loved what I seen from Amen Thompson. Everybody knows he's my darling boy, golden child. Love him to death. Really one of the best players I've ever seen in my life. He really showed up today. He showed up the last couple games, but this game really he showed up on offense and defense, giving you a lot in transition, being a solid playmaker, being able to make reads. That's exactly what you need from a guy who's probably going to be your point guard in the next year or two. Houston fought hard. They made an extremely competitive series. I could never disrespect what they've done. They were down 3-1, made it to Game 7 in their home court. Yeah, they lost by double digits, but they gave it a hell of a series. And for a team that's lacking in the experience department, for a team that had generated not the most prettiest, efficient offense throughout the regular season, they made it a dogfight. They went the old traditional, probably not ideal route for, analytics with the two big man lineup, but they gave it their all. So credit to Houston. I thought this season was a success for them. As for Golden State, I'm a little nervous for next matchup because you're kind of facing a team that's better. Like it's the same style, but they're just better. So it's definitely gonna be a troubling series.
And they have the best player in the series too.
It's gonna be honestly, another flip flop moment from you that I'm not gonna attack. I'm just gonna let you do that. But I'm gonna just reap in the fact that we made it out the second round. And it's funny that Drew's not here because he mentioned that blowing the 3-1 lead would hurt Steph's legacy, but yet LeBron is 2-12 in his last 14 playoff games. He just got gentleman swept again, got swept a couple years prior, got gentleman swept, I think the year before that, didn't make the playoffs. But it's always he's 40, he's 39, he's 38. Steph, 6'3", bad thumb, doesn't matter, 37, he got to do it. Kevin Durant, old, 37. Elite scorer. He has to do it. But LeBron, it's 40. He's 39. He gets the age card. I think it's funny that he's not here to defend his darling boy Jalen Green, who was arguably one of the worst scorers in the playoffs.
I mean, talk
He,
about it,
he was
Riz.
he was
terrible.
awful.
Talk
I
about
mean,
it.
it was to a point where he stopped shooting the ball. Like tonight's game, I didn't see him shoot the ball that much.
When he
Like,
airballed that 3, I knew it was bad.
yeah, it was.
And
It
you
was
know
just
why I
awful.
take so much thrill in the hate watch
Oh,
that
and
was
Joel,
Jalen Green?
before you even continue, I wanted to say this because it's funny to me because Drew said, talk about his defense. And I just find it funny because when you get paid $33 to $35 million, and when you come out the gate, you come out your draft as a scorer, your goal and the point of you on the court is to go get buckets and play defense. It's not to go be a role player, play defense. No, go generate some buckets. He couldn't do that. Shout out to Buddy Hield. He's defending his ass off. Joel, go ahead.
There's a lot of things to say there. I'm not going to mention the blatant attacks and assassination on my character that you mentioned. I'm not going to go that low because you assassinated me just there, Riv, when I did pick the Warriors in 7, and it was going to be a stain on Curry's legacy if he did blow a 3-1 lead.
Game 7 points.
Oh, but I don't defend Harden playoff moments anymore. I don't. It's over. It's over. I moved on. I told you I've moved on. My best players now that I'm rooting for that give me some optimism for the future are Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic. Those are the 2 players that I'm putting my bankroll on. Now, what you mentioned about Jalen Green, the reason why I took so much satisfaction in the hate watch that was Jalen Green throughout the series after game 2 is because when game 2 happened and he had an outlier shooting game, Drew was here talking nasty. Like we were somehow wrong on Jalen Green. Like we were the worst people ever to have the opinion that we don't trust Jalen Green. He plays really well, but for all these playoff games after, no show. He went from 22 points in the regular season to 13 in the postseason, and he shot 37% from the field. He tells me, I beg you, Joel, to pick a side. What I'm doing is giving the audience the correct analysis. He is not a player that you can trust. He is a negative impact player. And when he plays bad, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. He's not a positive player. I can't remember. Tell me, gentlemen, when's the last time that the leading scorer on a 52-win team is this negative of a player? He doesn't provide a positive impact. He's not a consistent scorer. He's a bad playmaker. Yes, he's good defensively in the midst of so many great defenders around him, right? He has his moments, but overall, he's not a positive player. When's the last time that we've seen a player on the 2nd seed be this negative to their team? You could have replaced Jalen Green with Anthony Simons, and they might win this series. That's how much of a negative player he was.
Grant?
What?
They win this
Jeremy
series.
Grant? You think Jeremy Grant could do that?
Can we relax?
I'm just looking at Jalen Green, and you mentioned his contract. It's hard to move on from, but I don't think that Jalen Green can bring back positive value or trade assets. Every team in the league knows he's not a good player. You were just the biggest black hole on a 52-win team in the playoffs. Why is any team saying, you know what? We'll give you Giannis. We'll take your picks and Jalen Green. Give it to me. We'll give you Kevin Durant. Give me JG back. I don't know how they move on from JG without attaching a pick to him. I don't know how. No team is clamoring to go get a Jalen Green.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if his value is going to be non-existent across the league. He definitely hurt his stock, maybe more than any other player in the NBA. But I think other teams are still going to look at him at some sort of like reclamation projects because he is still so young. He showed that on a 52-win team in the regular season, he can be the leading scorer. He can some nights be the best player. But yeah, in the playoffs going up against Golden State, he struggled. So I don't think teams are going to be completely out on him yet. We've seen guys like James Harden got traded for Ben Simmons. You're like, oh, can Ben Simmons maybe, like if he's healthy with the Nets, and people still believe in that. So I think Jalen Green isn't completely dead in terms of trade value. I think some team out there would still take a chance, but what you're saying is not wrong. He's not the headliner package, right? If you have to go and trade for Giannis, Jalen Green is not if you're using 2K terms, a 5-star player, right? This is not someone whose trade value is on top of the world, but with all the other young players they have and all the picks they have, they'll be able to get just about anybody. Maybe not named Giannis because it's Giannis, and maybe you do need like someone as Zion's caliber, as we've seen in some recent reports. But the biggest issue with this Rockets team is they need Jalen Green to be that player. And it's so obvious when he's not able to create any advantages, like outside of game 2, how much this offense can struggle. They can't create advantages one-on-one. Like Amen Thompson was their best offensive player by far tonight. He's had multiple games this series where he was their best player. But he was really the only one that could take advantage one-on-one. Nobody else really could. Sengun struggled this game, although he was good for most of the other playoffs. But if they do get a more reliable bucket getter, you see what the ceiling of this team is. And for Golden State to also be able to be up, a comfortable amount going into halftime with Curry playing that poorly in the first half, you knew in the second half, once he saw that first shot go down, that his night was going to turn around. He was phenomenal down the stretch. So, yeah, I don't think Jalen Green's completely done yet, but credit to the Warriors. And John, sorry, I was wrong about your Nuggets. I guess we're apologizing.
No worries about it. You're very kind.
I apologize for that.
Forgive you.
As was I, John.
Yes. I would say for the Rockets side of things, this was all things considered, pretty impressive series. I think a lot of people looked at them coming in and kind of didn't really give them a whole great chance because of their inexperience and their lack of shot creation. And for them to take this series to 7 games in and of itself, I think makes it an even more successful season against a Golden State team that is way more experienced and has a lot more talent in the half court to win these games and specifically close out those tight games where Houston was kind of maximizing their personnel. And I felt like the formula they built this year is something they could build off for years to come. As far as Jalen Green, I thought they needed a great series from them just to win, to have a chance to win the series. And it turned out they didn't even really need that. I mean, when you look at how close a few of these games were, they just got a good series from Jalen Green. You can make the case the Rockets right now are playing the T-Wolves in the second round of the playoffs. I want to play a game with you guys. Would you rather Jalen Green or these players?
Oh, God.
First name up, Karis LeVert.
Karis LeVert.
What the? Jalen Green. Jalen Green, man.
I'm taking Karis LeVert.
Joel. Bro.
I'm taking Karis LeVert.
Don't bro me. Karis LeVert was a positive for the Cavaliers when he was there, and he was great for the Hawks.
For sure.
He was great for the Hawks.
Dude,
He's a better player.
All right, I'm taking Jalen Green.
Yeah, I am too. Anyhow.
Next name up, Benedict Mathurin.
I'm going Mathurin.
I'm taking Jalen Green, man.
I think I'll take Mathurin.
Next name up, D'Angelo Russell.
I'm taking Jalen Green, man. We gotta stop the dish.
I'll take Jalen Green.
They're both so bad in the playoffs, but
neither of them
is D'Lo a better regular season performer? He might be.
This is Jalen Green's first time in the playoffs. So can we cut him a slight bit of slack? Compare him to D'Lo.
D'Lo was an all-star.
I mean, he was non-existent 5
This
of these
is right
games
now,
offensively.
D'Lo.
D'Lo right now is still a pretty good player, though.
Jalen Green just averaged 20.
You capped.
I mean, the next name, this is someone that can average 20.
Sorry. I'm going to go
Kelly
with Jalen
Oubre is the next name. He's someone that's averaged 20 in Charlotte. It doesn't mean it's been impactful.
All right, I'm going with Jalen Green over Oubre and D'Lo.
I'm going Jalen Green over both of them bums, man.
Next name up, Trey Mann.
Jalen Green.
I'm still thinking Jalen Green. Yeah.
I do like
more
Trey
of
Mann
Trey
when he's
Mann.
healthy, though.
Jalen.
I've got 2 more to go. Andrew Nembhard.
Nembhard.
Playoff Nembhard.
Easily.
Nembhard is different.
Like it's a clearing. I'm clearly going with Nembhard.
No, this is a guy that can make reads, can guard, and can hit some tough ass shots.
John, I want to add to your list because you mentioned some guys that came off the bench and some older folks that I feel like whenever whenever we just play these games, we oftentimes take
their
age into consideration so much. So I want to name players that are kind of in his age bracket that are kind of similar players.
Okay.
Adding on to John's list, would you take Jalen Green or Kobe White?
Kobe White.
I'll take Kobe
That's
White.
my next name, ironically.
I'll take Kobe White.
Give me Kobe White.
Would you take Jalen Green or Malik Monk?
I'll take Malik Monk.
Damn, that's actually a tough one. Damn, they're around the same age, too. That's kind of crazy. Felt like Malik's been here forever. Give me Malik Monk, though.
Malik's like 4 years older.
Oh, say word.
There's 27 to 23. And somebody in the chat said that Kobe was bad early on. Kobe at 23 won a championship and averaged 27 in that playoff run.
I thought they meant Kobe White.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, no, they meant Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Your favorite player.
Yeah, he is all time number one.
Fun fact.
Next name, Anthony Simons.
Anthony Simons. Keep it pushing.
Yeah, I'll take Anthony.
Yeah, I mean,
He
I'll
hasn't
take
played
Anthony just because he's been the
meaningful
more efficient player,
basketball.
but he's been in Portland, so I don't really know.
Yeah,
But Simons.
Shaden Sharp.
another guy.
I love me
Low-key
some Shaden
playing
Sharp.
meaningful basketball in Portland. I'd take Shaden though. He's like 2 years younger.
I think Shaden just has some more upside. We just haven't seen Shaden like struggle like that, I guess.
This might
He's
be
not
an
Portland.
easy one. Zach LaVine.
Zach.
Jalen Green.
Over Zach LaVine?
Are you serious?
You're
I've
Yeah,
never
he's
reacted that
he's
way to
throwing-
Zach LaVine.
Zach
Zach LaVine's
LaVine's
just much
30.
better.
He's
Either
30.
that or he's high as a kite. One or the other. There's no way you're seriously taking
Jalen Green is
over Zach.
30. I mean, Zach LaVine is
Who
30.
would this Rockets team rather have just had right now?
Oh, right. Zach's a better player, but I'm talking
Yeah,
about who would you rather like?
If everything goes right for Jalen Green, maybe he can be as good as Zach LaVine.
That
I
is
mean,
true.
Possibly, yeah, but like Zach.
But
LaVine-
you're going with Jalen Green, and that's your answer.
yeah, it's the money and the age. I'm going with Jalen Green.
Okay, this is a fun one because he had a resurgence, and it depends on how much you believe in it or not. Quentin Grimes.
Quinn Grimes.
I'm going with QG too. I'm going with Quentin Grimes, baby.
You
I'm
got it.
going with
Rib,
Quentin Grimes.
I think I'm
Don't
taking
forget,
Grimes
Riv's a
too.
Quinn Grimes hater. He didn't watch him this year in Dallas or in Philadelphia. So
I'm going with Quentin Grimes. If the Rockets could move on from Jalen Green and sign Quentin Grimes in the offseason, I would do it in a heartbeat. Don't even.
Now, y'all love meaningful basketball. That's how I'm getting this conversation. Y'all love meaningful basketball.
No,
taking
I'm
Jalen
flip flopping.
Green.
I'm taking Jalen Green.
I'm taking Jalen Green, bro.
flip-flopping.
You don't even know what QG can. Philly was ass.
He was
Okay,
playing
New
well
York,
in Dallas.
He was solid. He was
He was
starting
playing well in
solid in year
Dallas.
2 in New York.
New York, he was good, but he was a role player.
He's
in
a,
New York.
yeah, he's a better shooter, a better defender, better playmaker positionally, and he's also got the same exact size and the same
I don't
age.
think he's
So
a better playmaker. They both don't really move the needle.
positionally, he is. For an off-ball guard, he is.
Oh yeah,
I'm kind of believing QG. I mean, I just need a good role player. Jalen Green couldn't even be that.
I think QG's like, if you're just telling me like a role to fit in, I think QG could do it. Who has a higher ceiling? I'll
Jalen.
say Jalen Green.
And the last name, Colin Sexton.
Keep it pushing.
I'm taking Jalen Green.
I think I'm taking Sexton.
The Jazz effect.
Sexton is cool. He's not a scrub. Give me Jalen Green though.
I think the Rockets this offseason, I want to finish off the Rockets topic and then go into the Warriors and how they won this game. The Rockets offseason, I think it has to start with figuring out what you're going to do with Jalen Green. They make the decisions. Maybe Ime in the front office are still behind Jalen Green 100%, and we'll see what this decision they'll made. But I think the number one priority is for the Rockets to make a decision on Jalen Green and what you're going to do with him. Number two, they have to trade for a go-to offensive initiator, a scorer, somebody who can set up the offense, a playmaker, somebody that can bring some positivity to what has been a lifeless half-court offense pretty much all season long. Number three, Alperen Şengün has to fit. He has to improve his touching around the rim. The numbers look really good for him this series. I think the positive is that he defended really well. And a major knock on Şengün was, can he translate to the playoffs because of the defense? And I thought the Warriors matchup is the toughest series that you're going to find in defending in space. And I thought Şengün defended in space pretty well in this series, but the missed layups.
Draymond.
Who is guarding Draymond? I feel like Şengün. I feel like Şengün was all over the place, going around
he was
screens,
guarding-
switching.
A lot of the times he was guarding Draymond
But sometimes he was guarding Steph and he guarded the perimeter too.
and switch, and they sent help.
Yeah, but he was really good in just rotating to be on the spot and to meet people at the rim. I felt like Şengün was really good defensively.
Shit.
I just feel like the jump shot has to improve and the touch around the rim has to improve. Şengün is one of the most inefficient bigs in the league, and you can't be inefficient when most of your shots are coming around the rim. And then Amen Thompson, he was incredible this series, especially the back half of it. He has to improve his jump shot, but we know he has the highest ceiling on the team. So I think the Rockets have a clear path on how to get better. Sometimes we are too stuck in the moment, and I do think they had an incredible season. But the Kings also had an incredible season in 2022 when they were the 3rd seed, and then they didn't make the playoffs that high again the following years. So I do think that if you are stagnant, you risk regressing big time. And I think the Rockets have to make some major moves so they can keep progressing as a young team.
I don't hate that. I do think it's a tricky slope because they're much younger than what the Kings were. The Kings already had Fox, who was kind of established. Same thing with Sabonis. With Houston, they're still trying to figure out their pieces. So I wouldn't hate the idea of them going to get like maybe a go-to scorer on the lower scale of like a Malik Monk, like we were talking about, or Anthony Simons and stuff like that. See what they could do, then figure stuff out because they're gonna have a lottery pick this year. So let's see what we do with that. But I don't all the way disagree with you, Joel. I do think, you have to start pushing those buttons. I don't know if it'll have to happen this offseason, but, for them, they don't want to sit on what they just accomplished, which was a number 2 seed.
Yeah, I feel pretty strongly about it, and I have all year long. I'm pretty low on Jalen Green. I feel like the upside kind of like tantalizes people. The reality is that he's not going to have a high ceiling of being like an All-NBA player. If I were Houston this all season, I would be calling Phoenix every single day saying, we got your pick this year, lottery. You got a pick in 2027. You got your pick swap a couple years after that. We want Devin Booker.
I would send them good morning texts, good night texts.
Yeah.
Flowers.
Everything. And I would look to pair up Devin Booker and Amen Thompson. I believe that they would fit in perfectly together, especially with the supporting cast that you have and the offensive rebounding and the culture Ime Udoka set in place. I believe it would be the closest culture and supporting cast D-Books had to that 2021 finals team. Now, obviously, you had Chris Paul in that squad. I think Amen Thompson can develop into that kind of do-it-all guard that wouldn't have the pressure of being the primary shot creator, and he would complement Booker in so many different ways. So that really, to me, is the perfect fit for their timeline, for the need to, from a skill set perspective. And also, Devin Booker's already shown he can be a 1A or a 1B on a contending caliber team. If you have D-Book in the series, Houston wins. And I think moving forward, that gives you a way better chance to consistently build off seasons like this.
Yeah, they feel a lot more secure than what that Kings team did, right? I think this team, with all of the future capital they have, with the young players they have, I think Mike Brown was a hell of a coach. I think Ime is a top 6-7 coach at absolute worst in the NBA, and having these young players being able to kind of grow into this role. But like John mentioned, you guys are all saying is you're also at some point gonna have to add onto it, and that's not really what the Kings had. They kind of had their core in place. It's like this is gonna be Sabonis and Fox, and they just didn't have the assets that the Rockets are gonna have this offseason. So I'm anticipating a move. I don't know how realistic Booker is going to be because it just feels like everything against what Matt Ishbia would want to do, right? Like he is not an owner that wants to completely reset and be terrible. Like he's made that very clear since day one that even if he has to trade draft picks like he did, he's going to make sure the team is somewhat competitive. And I feel like Booker is really locked in with Phoenix. KD, same team, I think is probably more realistic fit. But either way, you get KD or you get Devin Booker. I agree with you, John. This is a team that probably beats this Warriors team, and going into the next round against Minnesota, you feel a lot more confident than if this team, this iteration would have.
Riv, put the GM hat on for us. What's the first move you're making?
If I'm Phoenix, if I'm Houston, first move I'm making, definitely I'm calling Phoenix immediately. Devin Booker, I think I feel more into Devin Booker's play than Kevin Durant because, like John mentioned, a lot younger, fits the timeline on a 3-4 year deal, if I'm not mistaken. With Kevin Durant, there's no guarantee he stays. He doesn't seem like the loyalty type of guy. Probably going to retire soon, anyways. I think with Devin Booker, though, I agree. Him and the men in the backcourt, that's pretty dope. Also, I think you need to fill out this roster a little bit more. You need to get a little bit more shooting. I think that's important too. Try to get some snipers. You did draft Reed Shepherd, so with the hopes of him being a shooter. But you have a lot of athletic demons, and what I mean by that is just athletic freaks. Cam Whitmore, Amen Thompson, Tari Eason to a degree, because of his length and his athletic ability. You have a lot of those guys, but you don't have enough shooters, and I think that could really help. I was thinking about Trae Young for a second, but then I realized, do you want to go try to build around the small guard type archetype? Trae Young's not the most efficient player. You don't have the proper spacing around him, and I think Atlanta's building something cool, but I definitely thought about him in my brain because I know he's going to probably maybe be thinking about being on the market. But for me, it's Devin Booker, man. Devin Booker or bust. And yes, the chat, I am high.
The three big names that Houston is looking to acquire this offseason: Giannis, KD, or Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is unlikely because Matt Ishbia has came out and said that he wants to continue to build around Devin Booker. I
What?
view Booker as a lifer with the Suns. I think they'll at least give him 1 to 2 more years before they pull that trigger. But if they don't get Giannis, if they don't get Kevin Durant, what do you guys think about them potentially taking a swing on Zion Williamson?
What's the
I'm good.
package?
Picks, a young player or something. But the package for Zion is going to be much less for
I don't.
Giannis
It's just the
or
spacing
I
on
think
this
even
team can get
KD.
ugly quick. And
I
I know
don't
there's
think
always gonna be a
Houston's
defensive
playing
minded team, and that's how they're gonna get down. But the spacing, I know Double Big is back, and I get all that, but you're
That
gonna
shit's
have
disgusting.
the
I'm good.
Gotta be
offense
triple
struggles
big
now.
that shit.
That doesn't make it better.
I'll be honest. If I'm Houston, I'm not trading for Zion. With all due respect to Zion, amazing talent, great player. He has played what 140 games in
Like
like 3.
40% of his games.
Does
Yeah,
he
it's
feel like
like
an Ime player?
I don't know. I don't.
He
I don't.
could get right.
He could get right. He could.
And just go
What
get
do you
that.
think about it, John? Because I know you're
Really
huge
green.
on Zion.
Better coach
I'm a big Zion guy. I look at the idea of Amon, Zion, and a center that may not space the floor together, and I think it
won't.
would be a disaster for Amon's development and then Zion to kind of get right. I feel like a place like there's so many different landing spots, maybe in Miami. I feel like that would be a better shot, a better team to take a shot on Zion. It's just a matter of finding someone who can kind of fit in and complement your existing cast. And yeah, I look at Reed Shepard and Jabari Smith, who you mentioned off the bench. I think those guys can grow into expanded roles, but you shouldn't really kind of tie yourself to one star. We have to build around them entirely. And with Houston, part of what made them so great this year, they're a young team that plays hard night to night, and they have guys that don't miss games. With Zion, you're going to have to build a team around him. And the dilemma is that when you build a team around him and he doesn't play games, you're building a team for an absent superstar. And I feel like that's an issue that Houston shouldn't want to tie themselves to. The D Book thing, it's just so weird because I understand that Matt Ishbia and D Book are both Michigan guys and they want to be happy and ride to the sunset together as Suns, but the Suns' future is so bleak. D Book's been there for a decade. He's made the playoffs 4 times. When you look at the next 3 or 4 years of Suns basketball, you can't tell me confidently they're going to build a playoff caliber supporting cast of Devin Booker. And if that's the case, then I don't really care how much Matt Ishbia loves D Book. I mean, the right thing for the franchise at that point is getting your assets and then rebuilding. So
Yeah.
I understand now, like, D Book's lifer, they're saying the right
No.
things. But if I'm the Suns and I'm trying to trade D Book, I'm not going to make that known to the rest of the league. I'm going to make it seem as if we've got an all NBA caliber player. We've got someone who's been a great playoff performer. We want to keep him, and then that's going to raise his value in the market. So I'm not really sold on the idea that, the Suns are keeping D Book as an untouchable piece.
And a man better than Zion.
Zion Williamson was the first name I mentioned. The next name I'll mention, because I think it's likely that he might get traded. It depends. If you're the Rockets, would you go out and trade for LaMelo Ball?
I'm straight. I'm straight.
He doesn't play either. No offense.
No. LaMelo Ball doesn't fit on this team.
But it would fix their playmaking problem. They would have a lead initiator.
If he plays, yes.
If he
You
does
also have
play,
someone
yes.
to attack every time you're down the court that you're not going to have a problem with if you don't get LaMelo Ball.
I don't hate the theory. The idea sounds really dope. I'm not gonna sit here and say he doesn't. Like LaMelo in Houston, you got a 6-7 lineup. LaMelo, you got Amon, you got Dylan Brooks, Jabari. That shit sounds dope. But I don't know. Like I'm not feeling it. I would like a more established guy, a guy who understands what it takes to get to the big dance, a guy who understands the grind and the long, the long passion for the playoffs and how you have to really gear up for it. And I think you need a vet for these guys. I think LaMelo is a young kid that I think he would be great. Like Ime could get him right, but also they could clash. I feel like LaMelo is kind of a different type of character. So for me, like LaMelo's a great talent. I don't know. I love LaMelo with the Clippers. I really do think if he could go there, that'd be fire. But I think Houston needs a more veteran presence, a star veteran, that star veteran guy. Yeah, there we go. That, yeah.
If you put LaMelo Ball on the best rebounding team in the NBA with one of the most physical and versatile defenses, with a coach named Udoka who can maybe kind of dial back his shot selection from being erratic to more normal, I think it'd be a really good fit. It just comes down to, like you said, is LaMelo going to give you 65 plus games, and is he going to be willing to play off the ball and kind of take a step back in terms of his shot attempts and the type of looks that the shot diet's not going to be sustainable in a high-end playoff team. But if he can kind of address those two things, I think LaMelo would be a really good fit.
You don't like it,
Yeah,
Dels?
no, I don't like the LaMelo fit. I think
Yeah.
this is a team that is with Ime is going to pride itself on defense. We saw they had one of the best defenses in the NBA this season. LaMelo Ball would fix some of the playmaking, absolutely. It would fix some of the half court offense issues, absolutely. But all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, teams got a guy that they can attack, offensively. So it fixes one problem, but then it could create a problem, even though obviously you have defenders around him. But it's not the guy I would go after.
How about Steven Adams gobbling offensive rebounds off LaMelo? I think it'd be an electric fit.
They already
Yeah.
have a LaMelo.
Who's their
Who's
LaMelo?
that?
It's a men, bro. 6'7"
Men is
demon.
awesome.
6'7"
I
demon,
mean,
bro.
look at the length of the point guard. If you have LaMelo, that's a 6'7" point guard with a man.
That's fire. I think like it's fire. Like I'm gonna do it on 2K. See how it look. It's fire.
All right, so talking about the Warriors, I think the big adjustment they made in this game was Kevon Looney played more to combat the double big lineup. And you're right, he should have been playing more because I felt like when he did play minutes, it made the most sense. Either him or Quentin Post should have been playing. And Quentin Post is kind of he can't be as physical with Steven Adams. So I felt like you got the shooting, but you didn't get the rebounding physicality from him. But really, this first half was the Buddy Hield show. The way that he lit the offense, the Warriors' offense up, was a big reason why they were up, how much they were up heading into the second half. And then Steph comes alive, but they needed a contribution from someone of the role players, and they got the rebounding and the defense from Kevon, and they got the shooting from Buddy Hield. And Buddy Hield had his best playoff game ever in Game 7.
Yeah, this series just showed me when you play an elite defense, this what's the word I want to use? This supporting cast gets boxed up pretty easily. And that's troublesome for going up against Minnesota because it's an elite defense. But they're gonna throw the kitchen sink at Steph. Like that's what teams do. That's what they're gonna do. Send two at the ball. You have it's like Houston. It felt like they was playing like a boxing one on Steph. Like, and on top of that, Steve Kerr's playing like 1 to 2 guys that can't shoot. So you're really like, all right, it's Steph. Like I don't even respect to Jimmy. I didn't even see like 2 at the ball against Jimmy. Like they kind of were playing 1-on-1, just top defender on Jimmy. So if you're throwing 2 at Steph, it's gonna be like those role players got to hit their shots. They're getting open looks. You got to hit your shots. And what we saw from this series, especially the last 3 games, that these role players are struggling. And they finally got a good contribution from one role player. And you see that they finally won a game.
No, that first half was the way they guard Steph, and they were trying to do it in the second half, but Steph was able to find some more open looks. But that first half, he was he started 0 for 7, didn't hit a 3. And even though he played that poorly, the amount of open shots that he was still generating for other players, even if it wasn't off his assist or his pass, just him coming off a screen, 2 guys go to Steph, so you got another guy wide open. The gravity was crazy. Even though he didn't have a great shooting offensive first half, it led to open looks. But like Riv mentioned, they just didn't really hit a ton of them. With that being said, Draymond, I think, started 2 for 2 or 2 for 3 from 3. So he had a couple of those early threes that got them going.
He had a floater.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
This doesn't happen without Buddy Hield going out there and giving you 30 points. And I don't think in anyone's
9 threes
could have predicted that. Or beginning of the season, Buddy Hield's going to have a 33-point night and miss like 3 shots the entire game. So the fact that he stepped up in that way was huge as well. The only player that I thought struggled was Pods at times offensively. I feel like he got a ton of open looks. He goes 1 for 7 from 3, 4 for 12 from the field, only 9 points. So he was the only guy that I felt offensively wasn't really contributing. But Jimmy's getting to the free throw line. He's being efficient. Draymond hits a couple threes. And then in that second half, Steph Curry comes alive. And he's able to beat some of those blitzes by just running around Steven Adams and getting layups at the line, being able to go quick, hit threes, loose balls, being able to find his spots. And once some of those shots started going in, they won the 12-er run in the fourth quarter, and that basically ended it. But it still showed that the Warriors can go on those spurts, right? When they need to in that fourth quarter, when it was like an 8-point game or so, the Rockets were hanging around. They were able to go on that run and finally close the door. But the next matchup against Minnesota is going to be a different beast because shout out to Jalen Green and Amen and these boys. But Jaden McDaniels is playing probably the best offense of his career. Anthony Edwards, you know what he does. Julius Randle's coming off his best playoff series of his career. Rudy Gobert's coming off his best game of his career. This Minnesota team is playing at a way different level than Houston is. So they're going to be favored, and I think they deserve to be.
I was gonna ask John this question, but it looks like left the stream and wait for him to get back. The Warriors won this series. Took them 7 games to do so. I thought they should have probably ended it sooner. They came out in game 5 and they really didn't care. They let the Rockets blow them out, and they were like, we're just gonna chalk this game up. We'll get ready for game 6, and they ended up losing that game. So they put themselves in a bad position. I don't know about you guys, and this is going to transition perfectly into the Timberwolves series and just how that's going to go. This series for the Warriors didn't feel like an emphatic victory. It felt more like we just survived.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay, that was a close one.
I mean, if you blow a 3-1 lead, hell yeah.
And the players on it, like Buddy Hield shooting 9 threes. It's great that he did that. But I feel like for the majority of this playoff series, it's really felt like more like the first half of the Warriors, where a lot of these role players are pretty unreliable. I love AirPods' energy, but shooting and doing anything on offense, he's really not doing nothing. Kuminga has become unplayable. Moses Moody isn't hitting shots, and Kerr is battling between playing Kevon Looney or Quentin Post. I mean, at some point when you're just relying on these dudes, it doesn't feel like they have that type of lineup versatility. And it feels like more so Kerr is going off this by a game-by-game basis, and he's just hoping that somebody, for the life of God, just contributes and can help Steph out. And Jimmy Butler, I think the injury has been bothering him, because you mentioned he was isolated a lot, and he was very passive. He didn't attack the basket. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't hunting down his shots. He was really playing within the flow of the offense, and Steph Curry, for the most part in the first half, wasn't being aggressive either. So, John, looking at the way the Warriors look in this series, how do you think that matches up with Minnesota, and do you think that they have a chance to beat them?
They maybe have a chance. I'm going Minnesota in 6 games, and I feel like, kind of building off what you said, it doesn't really feel like game to game they have a clear. Steve Kerr doesn't have a clear pulse on what his bench is going to give him, and it feels like a total X factor. Tonight, you didn't have Gary Payton, and moving into that series versus a T-Wolves team that's younger, more athletic, more versatile, I think they can match the Warriors' physicality in many respects. And then you're having Julius Randle come off his best series, his most meaningful basketball he's ever played, and Jaden McDaniels playing very well. It's going to take a lot for the Warriors to win that series. You're going to need Jimmy Butler at his best. Don't necessarily know what you're going to get. And I feel like tonight you kind of got a heroic Elam game performance by Buddy Hield, where it seems to be a theme with him. Last year in Game 6 versus the Knicks, has 17 points in the first 12 minutes. Tonight, drills 9 threes and plays well on both ends. You can't necessarily count on him or AirPods to give you that consistent secondary creation, which they're going to need versus this T-Wolves team, I believe. I had the Lakers beating them in 7 games. It turned out to be a poor prediction, because this Wolves team, they're going to be rested. They're going to be physical. And I feel like Ant-Man will be the best player in that series, in respects to Steph, who will have some great games himself. So I just feel like Minnesota's got so many different options in the perimeter. And then Rudy Gobert, too. I think he's been a little bit disrespected, and he's showing this first round series how impactful he can be.
Damn, Riv. Ant's the best player in that series?
Steph's got
Taking that, Riv?
Steph's got a tougher challenge than Ant, if we're being honest. Like if
sure.
we're being realistic, like we got to factor that in. He's got.
What if Jimmy guards Ant? Is it similar?
Nah, it's not.
He does have a tougher challenge.
Jimmy's more of a team defender at this point.
I just, Minnesota plays with such a chip on their shoulder.
It's a fact.
They played with the ultimate motivation against the Lakers, with everybody picking them. And there is no external pressure that's motivating Minnesota in this series, but there is internal motivation with how Anthony Edwards just wants to give it to the Warriors, because Draymond talks a lot of smack, and Anthony Edwards has been vocal about that and said, that's why I want to eliminate them from the playoffs, because Draymond talks a lot of smack. You had Rudy Gobert choke Rudy Gobert out last season.
Rudy Gobert definitely choked Rudy Gobert out.
Draymond Green, these teams already have built up animosity heading into this game. And that's where I feel like Minnesota's going to come with more energy. And what looks so clear throughout the series against the Rockets was that the Rockets are just so much more athletic than Golden State, but they didn't have the offense to truly make them pay for that. Minnesota has the offense. They have 5 players that shot 38% from 3 or better. They have somebody in Anthony Edwards who can put constant pressure on the rim, and they have the multitude of defenders that can make it tough on Steph Curry. And with Jimmy Butler not being 100% yet, because even though he's playing, he still looks a little bit hobbled to me. And this is going to be a quick turnaround for them going on the road to face Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota is going to win in 6, but I could also see this being like the Lakers series and beating them in 5, and the Warriors just looking really freaking old, honestly.
Yeah, I don't hate that opinion at all. You got a team. I do think both teams have a chip on their shoulder. The difference is Minnesota's just more talented. You got a Steph trying to get that 5th. Jimmy Butler trying to prove that he's not a cancer. He wants to win. And Draymond Green just always has some random chip on his shoulder. I do think also same thing with Minnesota. Like they got a super chip on their shoulder where people doubted them. I will say the only difference is I don't think we're bad defensively. I think the Lakers are horrible. I think like we don't have guys that Jaden McDaniels would just be able to beat off the dribble like somebody star player. Like Steph won't get beat like Luka. It's just no matter how small he is, Steph can guard. And I think that's like just a slight bit of the difference. Like
they have a much better defense.
Yeah, I think we have a couple guys that can legitimately guard. But I'm terrified when the Wolves do double big lineups. Like I really am, because I just watched Steven Adams and Sengun kill us. And Minnesota's also one of the best rebounding teams in basketball. So that's something important. We just don't have the size. Like we've never had the size. We don't really have the size at all. So unless, I'm going to ride with the Warriors, but like we need Steph on go, and he's still dealing with that thumb injury. Like you mentioned, Jimmy's a little bit hobbled, and like you don't know who's going to play good. Like it could be Pods one night. Could be Quinn Post one night, but Quinn Post, he struggles against physical bigs, so you can't really play him out there too much with Draymond. Offensively, if he got it going, yeah, but if he's not hitting threes, you kind of got to plug him out. Kevon Looney, he can rebound the shit out of the ball, but offensively, he doesn't really provide you anything. And then Kuminga, yeah. And then, you got Moses Moody. If he's not hitting threes, his defense is great. His energy is great, but you need him to be a floor spacer. So it just makes the job so much harder on Steph. And now he's going to have Jaden hounding him. Ant hounding him. He's going to look for those Rudy switches, but they could just send 2 at the ball, and just let everybody else beat them. You have Nikhil Alexander-Walker, who's another great defender.
Jalen Clark minutes.
If he does play, that'd be cool too. I would love to see Steph kill him. You got Dante DiVincenzo, who knows the Warriors playbook like the back of his hand. He's played there. So that's something that you have that same thing how like Screws played with Miami. He kind of had that thought in the back, and like I know what they want to do. Same thing with Dante. Dante's a scrappy defender. So listen,
familiarity.
Yeah, see, But I got Warriors in 6 because I love Steph to death.
Warriors in 6.
Yeah, no faith in that. I don't think that's bad. But
I think this matchup is definitely going to be harder for Golden State. Number one, I feel like we've seen how important size has been. A lot of these matchups have been who's just got the bigger dudes. You know what I mean? Like, and when we look at the first round, what Minnesota was able to do to the Lakers, who don't really employ a big man. Jackson Hayes is playing, like 5 minutes a game out there. Of course, Draymond Green's a different beast. He's someone that could actually protect the rim, and he's one of the best defenders we've ever seen. But there's just really a lot of size lacking from this Warriors team. And we saw the Rockets were able to expose that again and again and again. It's just their offense was so bad that they weren't really able to make up for it. But you assume that Minnesota's offense is going to be looking a lot smoother than what we've seen from Houston. And I wonder, Golden State went to zone a ton in this matchup against Houston. I wonder how much we see that going up against just a better Timberwolves team that, have better decision makers, better playmakers, better shooters, or if they're going to be forced to guard one-on-one more. So I do think those are 2 of the biggest factors, just the size and the different defensive looks that they were able to throw at Houston that maybe they can't throw at Minnesota. So I think Minnesota wins the series 5-6 games. I think Golden State just got by the skin of their teeth because it's kind of who they are. They're like a second round team, but not a team that's like a serious contender right now. I'm looking at Minnesota like they're a serious contender, and I think they should take care of business.
Yeah, and not only do they have bigs, but they have skilled bigs with Randall, with Naz Reid, and Gobert. Skilled offensively, not his repertoire, but we know what he brings defensively. Naz Reid and Randall are their skilled bigs. They can put the ball on the floor, they can pass, they can shoot, they can do a lot of things. If this was last year, a zone defense against Anthony Edwards would worry me a little bit. But I thought Edwards took such a major leap in the first round against the zone that the Lakers had against them that I feel like the growth that he's had really in half a year from the playmaker that he's been post All-Star break has been notable. And I think that's why I don't think it'll deter the Warriors, the Timberwolves offense like it would have maybe last year. And I do think that they have somebody else that can put the ball on the floor and create for others. Cat is a very stationary offensive player. He's either catching and shooting or he's posted up on the block. He's not going to really dribble. I think last year, every time he dribbled to the basket, every drive, he had like a 11% turnover percentage, which was the most in the NBA. With Randall, those are more 3-point opportunities, catch shoot opportunities. So I think the Wolves should win this one. They just feel like the much better team. And really, their performance against the Lakers, what you said is correct. That really catapulted them in terms of the public perception from you're actually a real contender now. Like, I think you said it, Riv, earlier in the season that they are the best matchup for OKC. And they might end up facing OKC in the WCF. And I think that is a really good matchup.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is the zone. I think I love Draymond and Jimmy back there in the zone because they're like two smart ass defenders. Lakers didn't have that. They really suck, dude. But yeah, like Jimmy and Dre in the zone, I think that really helps us because Jimmy's a smart ass defender, Dre's a smart ass defender. So I'm with you, Duz. I would love to see the zone a lot more just because we don't have stoppers for real. We just have a lot of good team defenders and stuff like that. So excited to see how it goes. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Doesn't sound like you're very confident.
Nah, but I'm just happy.
38. Warriors
optimistic. Hopeful.
That was if I get that, I'm so here. Oh my
That's what you need.
fucking moon.
So game 1, Pacers beat the Cavaliers 121-112. It felt like the Cavaliers came out in this game very sluggish, and the Pacers just kind of gave it to them. They were getting easy buckets. A lot of times they just rebounded the ball, and a second later, somebody's scoring on the other end. I do think that there was a little bit too much complaining to the referees on the Cavs' part. Ty Jerome complained a lot after his misses looking for a foul, and I think it put their defense at a disadvantage. The Pacers just kind of proved that they can make this a real series, and they can win this series. I think before Garland's injury, they had a chance. I thought it would be Cavs in 6. They had a chance. With Garland's injury, this kind of becomes a toss-up for me. It's like, I really don't know because I think Garland is that impactful to their playmaking. You saw this game that Ty Jerome and Mitchell accounted for 50 of their 99 shots. And I do think the Cavaliers defense is a bit overrated. Since January 1st, 15th in defensive rating. They've played a Heat team that doesn't have a good offense, but against Indiana in game 1, I don't think they have the defenders to guard and to stop dribble drive penetration. And I think Evan Mobley has to cover up for so many things. And it does feel like this Cavaliers defense is very reliant on him and Jared Allen, who's a good defender. When he's faced in small ball and has to guard in space, that kind of takes away a lot of his defensive value. So I do think there are adjustments the Cavaliers can make. They can take better shots and not be so inefficient from 3. The fact that this was just a 9-point loss and they shot what they shot from 3, which was 24%, is encouraging. But I also want to see the athletes out there. I don't want to see Sarah Merrill in the star lineup. I want to see DeAndre Hunter start for this team. We know that he's their 6-man, quote unquote. But if you have Ty Jerome coming off the bench, you could start DeAndre Hunter. So I want them to lean into their physical, athletic, tall wings, and he can also space the floor. I feel like that's the natural adjustment for them, and Donovan Mitchell just having a better shooting night. But this is going to be a tough challenge. Not only is Indiana an elite offensive team, but this year they've been really good defensively as well. So this is a team that they were making the Cavaliers work with their full court press throughout this entire thing. So they tire you out throughout the game, not only on defense, but also on offense. So with Garland's injury, that is a toe sprain, I think they said in the regular season, that would be a 2-week injury. That basically means there's a chance he misses this series.
He was already gone for a week, dude.
Yeah, it's gonna be 17 days by the time he.
Oh, he'll be back. So. What? Maybe game 4 around there.
Probably game 3.
It'll be 2.5 weeks by game 3.
Okay, I think even with him being out a couple games, that's still a huge swing for Indiana. Like they really rely on him. Like you become the number 1 team in the East. You lose your all-star point guard. That takes you down a notch. And you put this tweet out perfectly, John, is without Garland, they match up very similarly to Cleveland.
I also think game one overreactions for this one are getting a little bit overblown. This team shot 24% from the 3-point line. Indiana shot 55, and I felt like Cleveland generated a good amount of open looks. They lost by what, 6? The game
11, 9.
for the game was out of hand probably like at the minute 30 mark when they were down like 8 or 9 points for real. They make 4 or 5 of those open looks. We're talking about a completely different game. We're not even talking about Indiana possibly winning this game. And that's not to take away from what Indiana did. I thought Indiana, the way they put pressure on the ball was really good. They were able to generate some open looks. They were able to really get into their offense, play well in transition. They didn't change their identity. As for Cleveland, it's an adjustment period. I think game one was an adjustment period of actually playing a much better team without your all-star guard. I think it's an adjust. A lot of their defense, I felt like, was miscommunication. I thought they were able to stop the ball, but when they started seeing a bunch of screens, off-ball screens, I thought they were helping a little bit too much off of other shooters in the corner. They were giving a lot of guys too much space and not giving their guys opportunity to get beat off the dribble. There was a couple of possessions where you had a guy on the corner who was over helping, and the guard didn't even move yet from the middle of the court. He didn't even move yet, and he was able to make the skip pass because, like, bro, you're just helping completely off the corner. And I thought Cleveland, those Jared Allen minutes in the clutch were brutal. Like I think that was they were able to go on a run, but Jared Allen just couldn't stay in front of Halliburton. Halliburton was able to take advantage of that, and they might have to think about going to just Mobley at the 5 late in games for stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Sam Murrell starting, it lost me. I thought you had an opportunity here to start your best defensive lineup because, if DG's off the floor, you do have a better defensive unit. You didn't do that. You started Sam Murrell for more shooting. I would love to see more DeAndre Hunter, love to see more Ty Jerome, but it felt to me like Kenny Atkinson he played everybody. Like he played the whole 10, 11, 12 guys on the roster. So it felt to me like a fill-out game, and Indiana definitely threw the first punch. I think Cleveland will adjust. I don't want to overreact too much to game one, especially with, like I said, they're playing a better team. They're missing their star guard. That's something that they have to adjust to now. After playing Miami was a whatever show. They were ass. But Indiana is a much better opponent, which I thought even with DG, it was going to be a tough series. So, I think even without DG, it's still going to be a super tough series. Indiana, I don't want to disrespect them. They're a good-ass team. They've shown that they're really resilient. Their offense is elite. And shout out to Rick Carlisle because Hallie played amazing. He deserves to. He's the best player on the team. But the amount of just offensive sets that Rick Carlisle can run with anybody on the roster is super, super huge. You have multiple guys that's able to get into his sets, make plays. Mathurin, Neesmith, Hallie, TJ McConnell, Siakam was huge in the first half, making big timely buckets. I mean, this team's offense is just so juiced up. Cleveland has to adjust, and I think they'll adjust game 2.
This was really an impressive showing by an Indiana team that I feel like the last 2 years, give or take, has been completely overlooked by most of the NBA because of injuries. And today, kind of put in perspective, without Garland, this series can go the full way. I do feel like for Cleveland, there's a lot of different things they can change. It's why I still have them win the series. I think for one, it was the right decision to let Garland rest. If his body's not recovering well from this toe injury, it's better to have him rest, get him closer to 100% than have him play through injury. But Andrew Nembhard today has 23 points on 10 shots. It's a plus 21, 6 assists, 0 turnovers, 5 of 6 from 3. Plays very well defensively. And that was the story for their entire starting lineup. And I felt coming out the gate, the decision to build off the Heat series where they started Sam Murrell without Darius Garland, to try to emulate that again against this Pacers team was a horrible, horrible decision. I feel like to give up 36 points in the first half where the Pacers' pace, ball movement, and shooting caught the Cavs lacking, it kind of showed that Kenny Atkinson threw this game away a little bit. And that was disappointing to me because I think he's done a wonderful job this season. But this game, to me specifically, it was almost unacceptable to not start DeAndre Hunter and then not close with him and Mobley exclusively at the 4 and 5. Because I feel like from a matchup standpoint, one of the best ways to kind of confront the Miles Turner, Tyrese Halliburton two-man game is having Mobley at the 5 against Turner and then DeAndre Hunter at the 4 against Siakam. So I feel like they can definitely learn and build off this game. But to me, it did feel like Cleveland threw in the towel up until Donovan Mitchell in the third quarter took over and was able to take the lead for the Cavaliers. And I felt like for Indiana to then come out on the road in a hostile environment where the crowd's going crazy and the Cavs got all the momentum and still pull away with a 9-point victory, That's something they should get a lot more credit for. Because we just saw this Cavalier team dismantle Miami, and it is clear to me that this Pacer team is not only a contender, but they can win this series with Donovan if Darius Garland does not play. And I think that's more about them than it does the Cavaliers right now.
Yeah, do
Yeah,
you think
the
it's
Pacers.
overreaction? Sorry, Des, but do you think it's an overreaction to game one that they won this game, or do you think the Pacers have a real shot to win?
They have a chance to win. I think the Pacers have been disrespected for at least leading up to the postseason. I think a lot of people just assume like, oh yeah, the Knicks are the third best team in the Eastern Conference. And I always felt like the Pacers were at least neck and neck with them when it comes to wins over 500 this year. Pacers had more than the Knicks. They were, I think, a half game back in the regular season. So the Pacers always felt close to me, but people just look at last year a lot of the time and the run they went on, and that it was, they got lucky because of injuries and kind of toss it aside. But they've shown for 2 years now to be a real competitive team in the East. They're deep. They're well coached. Halliburton's playing some of the best basketball of his career. They have guys that can defend. They can hit the three-point shot. They're one of the best offenses. Like, this isn't a team that coming into the series, I thought the Cavs it was going to be a struggle for them. I thought this is a 6-7 game series. And I didn't think Garland's injury was going to last this long because he hasn't played basketball in a week and he's still not playing, which tells me this is a serious injury. This isn't just we're playing the Heat, Garland, chill for this last game. We're up 3-0. We don't really need you. This is a serious injury that even when he comes back feels like, is he going to be 100% or is that something that he's going to have to deal with for the rest of the playoffs? So if you make that small of a change to the series, the Pacers do have a chance of winning. And now they stole home court. All of a sudden, game 2 feels like an absolute must win if you're Cleveland. You don't want to go down 2-0 having to go back to Indiana. So Cleveland has shown, for over a year now that this is the type of team they are. But to be fair to Cleveland, they had maybe their worst shooting night of the season. They didn't have they scored, what was it? They had 9 threes in this game, 9 for 38. There wasn't a single game in the regular season they made less than 10 3-pointers. And their first game of the second round, they make 9, first time all year. So it was just an incredibly unlucky and efficient shooting night that I think will even out some. And on the other side, too, the Pacers go 19 for 38. They're hitting 50-something%, regardless of how great the looks are on either side. Because, like Riv mentioned, I did think the Cavs were generating open looks. They were missing a lot of them. That evens out a little bit. I think Cleveland ties at 1-1. I still think they'll win the series in 7 games, but this Garland injury makes it a lot closer than what it was before.
Yeah, I will say the Tyrese Halliburton point of this all, 9 points and 3 assists in the fourth quarter. I thought he really took control in that quarter and led the Pacers to victory.
Great defensive plays. Some great defensive plays.
And I think that's been one of the positive things of the season for him is that he's really played great defensively for the Pacers. Like, he's really given a lot of effort. And for somebody that's 6'5", he has the ability to make an impact both in the passing lane and stealing passes and a little bit as a shot blocker. So his defensive intensity has definitely been upticked. The Pacers, Kenny tweeted this, they're 27-3 when Halliburton scores 20 plus points this season. If he is ultra aggressive, which I think in this series is the perfect opportunity against, I think, perimeter defenders that really he can't really keep up with him and the amount of screens they use and getting those mismatches. I think he has a chance to have the best playoff series of his career. And I think if he does, I don't think it's a game one overreaction. I think they got a real chance. And although the Cavs shot poorly from 3, one thing you can take away from this game is that they took care of the ball. They only had 7 turnovers. The Pacers had 16 turnovers. And they are a team that takes care of the ball. And they only attempted 83 shots to the Cavaliers 98. So the Cavaliers got up 15 more shots.
Rebounds.
And the Pacers also turn over the ball twice as much as them. So I think there are things the Pacers can fix as well. And I think somebody mentioned in the chat too that I thought it was a good comment. Without Garland, the Pacers do have 3 initiators with Nembhard, Halliburton, and TJ McConnell. And that's something that right now it was really felt. Garland's absence, not having somebody else that can create. Ty Jerome more so was kind of getting his own shots and self-creating for himself, and not really being like a playmaker all that much, even though he does have kick-out assists. I do think he's a positive for them too, but having those 3 guards has been what's been so huge for the Cavaliers. And I want to make sure that reporting on Garland is accurate. So it's not that it was just a 2-week injury. Greenberg said if this was the regular season, Garland would likely be shut down for another week or 2 weeks. Like from this point, he would have been shut down for another 2 weeks had this been the regular season. But because it's the playoffs, he does have a chance to play in game 2, depending how it feels, or in game 3. But this injury has been described as a major burden who needs his push-off foot with confidence.
Yeah.
So I think this is really something serious to monitor. And I was hoping that we got the Cavaliers at full strength, but this injury kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Now
seems
you
like
saw
nothing
it.
but surprise.
You saw it. You like if you watched him in when they was playing in Cleveland, he was limping a lot. Like especially in game 2. I don't know. I don't know when it happened, but I saw in game 2 he was limping a lot. And yeah, you like the thing with like Indiana, they were making some tough shots. Like there was times where you saw hand in the face, Nemhart, like they were making some really tough shots. So credit to them for having that. Like you mentioned, something's got to come to the median, whether it be the turnovers, them having a high 3-point percentage. Something's got to come down. So I'm excited to see game 2 because I believe in this series to be probably, if not the best series of the playoffs, one of the best, because we have two high-powered offenses. And I know you like to shit on the 50 shots thing, but Donovan Mitchell had to empty the clip.
Yeah, I don't have no problem with that.
And he was in between the 3-point line. He was elite. Like he was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, he couldn't hit a shot. He was 1 for 11.
Yeah, he couldn't hit a 3, but my God, every time he got to the rim,
he fuck down going to the rim every time.
He was basically John, what you said. Like once he made it a priority just to tag downhill, there was no stopping him. So game 2 will be interesting to see what happens. But looking at the super chats, Santos goes, Wardell Stephen Curry is the GOAT point guard.
No shame in saying that, man.
Jacob Fruity goes, thoughts on Şengün's mid-ass performance. Also, what do y'all think about this next series against the Wolves versus the Warriors? I think Şengün has to just get better from an efficiency standpoint.
Finishing.
Yeah, that's the major
he has to stop
in his
flopping.
game.
How about that?
Damn.
Hey,
what are you insinuating, Riv?
Huh? He's a flopper.
Dylan Brooks' flop at half court was nuts.
That was nuts. Oh, every time Şengün gets a post up, hey, he screams mad loud. Then he just like acts like he's getting beat up. Like, dude.
No, Draymond locked him up the entire series. Like, even in garbage time with like 30 seconds left, Draymond was still locking him up.
This is what Draymond does.
That's what he does against centers like Sabonis and
locks up, man.
It's a tough matchup for those. Tough.
He lucky. Şengün lucky he ain't see 2023 Looney. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
And as for the Wolves and Warriors, we touched on it. I think the Wolves have the major advantage in this series.
It's a big Nas Reed series.
He kills us. He kills us.
Quattro goes, get that foul baiter Şengün out the playoffs. LFG. He's gone now.
Foul bait and scrub. You saw what Fred VanVleet pushed my boy Jimmy. I ain't like
he
that.
did.
Yeah, I ain't like
Free Holder 33 goes, I can comfortably say the East runs the league after watching the West series. The East top 4 seeds putting belt to as on the West top 4 seeds.
That's a fact.
I'm with you. We here.
There's like 2 good teams in the West, maybe 3.
There's 4 good teams in the East. 3. Let's go 3.5.
I think it's pretty close.
3.5.
The Knicks are the half?
Yes.
Okay. Respect.
Yeah.
Silly Sala goes, don't run. Andrew LeBron can do no wrong for Les.
He ducked, man. They call me the ducker.
Jalen Green. Don't forget Giddey was just as bad. This is reference to Jalen Green. And it was a 1-for-1 for Caruso.
Giddey was pretty
It's a fact, man.
Yeah.
Jalen Green's not over.
There's a potential. Maybe Jalen Green for Josh Green on the Hornets.
But Josh Giddey wasn't getting paid $35 million. That's the difference.
He's about to now.
Yeah, he was up for an extension. Now the Bulls have to
him.
Yeah.
Giddey had low key, and I don't even listen. I don't like Giddey. Giddey's horrible to me. But one thing I can say about Giddey is he had one great trait. He's a really great passer, like a really, really great passer. Jalen Green, I don't think he has a single great trait. Like,
so why do you take him or everybody that we named before?
Who you was naming dudes like Kelly fucking Oubre, dude. Like,
I named Andrew Nemhard.
I took Nemhard. Look at you.
I named Quinn Grimes.
He's played good for Philly. I got to see a little bit more, brother. I really
in New York.
He was as a role player.
A starter.
That was 3 years ago.
And year 2
years ago. That might have been longer. When was that?
Before he got injured.
That was 2022, 2021,
2023.
Oh, we're in 2025. Interesting.
Nessie goes, we the Rockets win the 2019 series against the Warriors. We have Amen Thompson instead of PJ Tucker. Amen is the dawn, brother, man. Give him a Giannis type midi and he's averaging 20.
This is the real Giannis comp right here.
This is the Giannis comp.
6'7" Giannis.
They call this Scotty. It's him right here, man.
Listen, man, the jumper's pretty. I got faith.
You think he's
Nessie goes, we opt
I'm
into
pretty-
Fred's option and trade him with Jalen Green and maybe Whitmore, even though he's extremely
Prettier
good
than
when he
Franz's.
gets minutes with picks for Giannis.
All
Franz
right.
used to be high. I don't know what
a
happened.
lot prettier than Franz's.
Franz got this ugly ass hitch.
It is broken.
Unfortunate, John.
This is what I mean. Like this trade package, I wouldn't do it if I'm the Bucks. Like you give me Jalen Green and Cam Whitmore and picks. Yeah,
First
Bro
Well,
said
that's-
maybe Cam Whitmore.
First of all, that trade is literally over what Giannis makes. That's like $77 million.
Maybe Whitmore. I don't want to put Whitmore, but maybe Whitmore. You make me.
He's a nut.
Oscar Stewart goes, is Buddy a generational shooter of this era?
You went to college, so I won't allow that stupid question. I can tell in your thing.
Yeah, he's just
If,
celebrating his diploma.
I mean,
Look at the
college,
numbers
Buddy
here.
Hield.
College Buddy Hield.
I mean, Buddy Hield's an elite level shooter. Where do you
College
think he
One
would
of the
rank?
best shooters that
Buddy
NBA.
Hield in Oklahoma is one of the greatest shooters I've ever seen in my
He's
life.
definitely like top 4 and made 3 since entering the league.
100%. All he does
He's one of
is
the best
shoot
shooters in NBA's history. So
Mm.
I
He's
wouldn't say
six-
generational,
he's
but
16th all time in 3-pointers made.
That's insane.
in percentage, that's
I respect
probably
it.
an even better barometer.
Yeah, in the NBA, that's where he is all time ranked. So yeah, he is. I mean, he's one of the best shooters of this era for sure.
Bro's
B Swag goes, random thoughts on KD to the Pacers. Depending on how this year ends, should they target a star this offseason?
I don't hate it.
I don't
I think
totally
if
hate
the
it.
Pacers should try to get a superstar, like a real deal superstar.
Like a guy that can go
It's
get one.
Giannis Antetokounmpo if the Pacers are going
That
for
would be
real.
fire too, John. You're
Because that would be the
Yeah.
perfect fit. KD, I
Giannis
don't
would
hate
be.
because of his age. If you put Giannis with Halliburton in the two-man game, their perimeter defense, and Miles Turner, I think with how much they play in transition, it would be arguably the best team in the East.
Giannis. I mean, I said Giannis. John, question though.
Kind of looks like yeah.
Yeah, Loki, just as dominant too. John, question. Are you not worried about Giannis's lack of pick and roll game? And on top of that, if we all can be honest, Giannis can't set screens.
Mhm.
He's like not good at that. Don't know
Okay.
why he's not good at it. But yeah, like, are you worried about that at all?
Not as much because Halliburton's a better playmaker and off-ball player than Dame in this stage of his career, and also in this theoretical move
Mhm.
for as solid as Siakam has been, for as good as he's been in Indiana,
he's
I think
gone.
he's going to go. I do believe in the half court, Giannis is just a better version as a post player, a mid-range shooter. It's kind of
agree.
similar, and then the finishing stuff, I think Halliburton would kind of figure it out.
Just action. That's all.
Jay Clark goes, serious question. Is Jalen Green the top 150 player in the NBA? In a 2021 redraft, does he even get drafted at all? Is he a top 10 player named Jalen in the league?
Top 150. I don't know.
These are a lot of good questions that's going to take time to answer. I think the quickest one is he a top 10 player in the 2021 NBA draft? Is he better than Cade?
Hell no.
Let's get to the real names.
Is he better than Franz?
No.
Is he better than Scotty Barnes?
Nah.
No.
You have like
Is he-
7 more names to go until
Is
it's
he
time.
better than Evan Mobley?
No.
Hell no.
Is he better than Alperen Şengün?
No.
Is he better than Trey Murphy?
No.
Is he better than Jalen Suggs?
No.
No.
And that's crazy.
No.
Is he better than Jalen Johnson?
No.
No.
Fuck no.
Transition merchant.
Is he better than Herb Jones?
No.
Wait.
No.
Wait.
I'd rather have Herb Jones.
I'd
so-
rather-
I'd
Herb Jones is all-NBA defender, man.
I'd rather have Herb Jones. I'm not disagreeing with you, Del.
Who's more impactful, Riv?
Who's more impactful, John? I'm also not disagreeing with you here. I'm just asking a question. Is this a little bit of a one player versus one player, but one heightened role versus one lower scaled role?
What role
Do you see
does
Herb
Jalen
Jones in
Green
that
fulfill?
2022 playoff series versus the Suns?
He,
Like,
I,
only
did
time
not,
he's
I
been
don't
in
remember. John,
He was
I'll be honest.
literally winning the Pelicans 1 or 2 playoff games as a rookie.
I don't remember. I'll be honest.
Riv, we know Herb Jones' role. Be a
Yeah.
lockdown defender. We know he can do that as good as anyone in the
Top
league.
5 in the league, yes.
What is Jalen Green's role
It's
on any
supposed
team?
to be any team or his team, because that's blatantly unfair.
Well, whatever team he's going to be on. What is his role?
His team, his role on his team is to be the top scorer, and he did that this year.
Bro, you could put
it
75
didn't
players in the
really lead them
Rockets that can
anywhere.
all average 20 points and 17 and a half shots.
You're probably
being
right.
a negative.
Herb Jones do it.
We don't
No,
need.
but
I don't
Herb
want
Jones would
to
make
do
the
that.
Rockets
Herb Jones
better.
win his team playoff games.
Herb
Against
Jones would make the
Suns.
Rockets better than Jalen Green.
I mean, they're already in elite defense, so
Yeah, he
how
won't-
That would be monstrous
how
with
much
them.
better can they make?
Jalen Green had like the golden opportunity to just be
You're not wrong.
super,
You're definitely not wrong.
super solid and maximize his role. And he's in year 4, and he was a total non-factor as a
Okay,
scorer, and that's
so
supposed to be his thing.
You're not wrong.
If you guys are going with Herb Jones, that's 9 players. We still got some more to go.
We can take Herb Jones.
Who's
Just wanted to ask
better?
a question.
Josh Giddey or Jalen Green?
Once again, are we valuing what that man has done?
You
In
have to take
Chicago.
it into account.
Which was about
Josh
50
Green
games.
these last couple months, man.
I'm not asking. Listen, I'm asking. I'm just asking.
It depends what type of shooter he is moving forward.
They both are the ideal defenders, so we can toss that out the window. We can just chop that up.
He's a better playmaker.
He's a better
Green's
passer.
a better scorer.
Green's a better scorer.
Their efficiency is probably a lot more close than you think.
Teams don't respect either one of them. If we're being honest, what are we doing? What are we doing with this one? I don't know.
I would go with Josh Giddey.
Give me
We know
Giddey.
you would. We know you
Giddey.
would.
You can rebound a little bit.
6'8".
Play make.
Good rebounder, don't you?
But I'll say this: we've seen both of them in playoff environments. It's very ugly, very disgusting behavior.
Yep.
I'll go
If-
Jalen Green.
If Giddey's making 37% of his threes or higher when they're open, yeah, I'd probably go with him.
That's fair.
But if he's making anything like around 33%, I'd probably lean Jalen Green.
All right. Next name up. Cam Thomas.
Cam Thomas, I guess. Yeah, they're the same guy.
Like he should be, but he's also just playing with the Nets. It's like the same guy.
We're already at 10 players. I just want to keep naming more.
Oh, okay.
Santi Aldama.
No, he's terrible. No.
Terrible's crazy.
He's not terrible, but God,
He's
no.
a good role player.
Oh my God, Dels, no. He can shoot. That's it. He really
he can
Jalen
pass.
Green. Yeah, Jalen Green.
I'll take
Respect
him.
it.
Yeah.
Ayo Desumo.
Jalen Green.
Jalen Green.
I like Io though, but Jalen Green.
I like Iowa a lot, but I'm going to go Jalen Green.
Aaron Wiggins.
I'm going Aaron Wiggins.
Aaron
It's
Wiggins.
my dog.
Yeah.
He got injured this year, but what about Isaiah Jackson?
Nah, give me Jalen Green.
Yeah,
Isaiah
Jalen Green.
Jackson's a cool backup though.
If you could show you could be like a contributor as a role player on a good team, I'll take you over Jalen Green respectfully.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'm going to mention is Quentin Grimes.
Quentin Grimes.
If I get outvoted here, I understand.
Yeah.
I think I'm still taking Green.
Jalen Green, we're here.
There are like 10 plus players in the 2021 draft that are better than Jalen
Pretty
Green.
bad, bro. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
He just
not
got to
great.
lock in. And I feel like he works on his game too. It's not like he doesn't. Like I really truly feels like he works a ton on his game. He's just like not that good.
I think there's about 90 players in the NBA that could average 20 points per game in Houston.
90?
90 is crazy.
I just went through that wasn't an arbitrary number. I went through my list of ranked NBA players.
Who's like the worst player on that list?
Worst player in that list, I stopped at Benedict Mathurin and
Jeez.
Klay Thompson.
That's an in
Wait,
studio.
who?
Clay
Klay
Thompson.
Ooh,
I
I
name like the last 10.
don't
Name
know.
like the last 10, maybe.
Now,
Klay
John,
Thompson
keep
was the
that
last
because
one.
that's an in studio
Yeah,
TikTok
no, it's not now.
Okay, okay.
pre-recorded that I want to do.
Farming, that's not.
Yeah,
That's funny.
definitely
Klay
though.
Thompson is killing me.
Jay Clark, in all seriousness, what do you do?
17
What
shots
do you
will do it. He's done it.
do with JG if you the Rockets? He has all the tools to be good, but his game's so immature.
Before, hold on, John. Do you just have a list of like 100 players in your notes app?
No, I have my NBA players ranked. So I went through my rankings and I said, all right, I'm going to count and then I'm going to subtract players that I don't think could average 20. I subtracted 2 players.
Where do you have them ranked?
Where to have Jalen Green ranked?
No,
He ain't in
yeah,
my
I'm
top
just saying,
100.
like, when you do this exercise, you just like
Top
list the
100.
top 100 players.
Well, that's a great question. I think over time, as I've matured, I've just altered my player rankings and I'll copy and paste and adjust it for the following season.
Okay.
Something I enjoy doing. So right
When's
now,
the
my
last time you updated your
43rd,
player rankings?
right now, my 43rd best player in the NBA is Jamal Murray.
Okay.
Yep.
When do you usually update them?
I think over the season. So when the new season starts, I'll copy and paste into a new doc, like a
Okay.
new tab, and then over the course of the season, I'll probably update it, like with a month or two left before the playoffs. Because you had to upgrade the younger guys, and
Okay,
that's
yeah.
like Eamon Thompson this year. I just want him up high to my top
Mhm.
50 or my top 60. So it's a good example.
Is Amen Thompson on the list?
Oh yeah, he's in my top 60.
But he averaged 12 on the Rockets.
It was 17 as a starter. Stop disrespecting.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
up
No,
there.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's
Just
fair.
just wondering, John. Just wondering.
I
Great
like
question.
that. I like that, John.
What is
90
yes.
players.
Yep.
Did you put Jaden Ivey on the list?
Don't think he's on. He's injured.
Adam John.
Loki
You can do it.
Adam, yeah.
You can Loki Adam. You can put Malik Beasley too. I'll be
Now
honest.
we're at 98 players.
Do the Knicks have 4 players that could do it?
Probably.
Josh
Yeah.
Hart could do it. So they got 5.
You think Josh Hart could do it?
Yeah.
I think that's a bit of a stretch, but I understand.
I think he'll
Top
cap
100
out of like
player.
18.
Small stretches he has and like 20 game sample
Josh Hart's a
size.
winner.
If you gave him 17 shots, I think you would
For
get there.
80 game sample size because he'll play 80 games.
Wait, you said he could average 20 on the Rockets?
Maybe not on the Rockets, actually. So that's not a great exercise.
There's no way.
I think OG, Mikal, Brunson, and Cat could do it though.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those are the 4 I go with. So.
Josh Hart's pretty crazy. I would say Deuce McBride maybe.
He did it in Portland for 20
Whoa,
games.
that's even crazier.
McBride is nuts, bro.
All right, that's gonna do it for this live reaction. We're gonna be back here tomorrow night. We'll see how many people we get here. But it was really nice talking to you, gentlemen. And Drew will update you guys either on his Twitter or next time he's on why he missed this. So
Didn't receive.
he'll update you guys.
Bro.
But thank you guys for being on here. Make sure you guys drop a like. We have 679 people right now currently watching. So make sure you guys drop a like, and we'll see you guys tomorrow night.